The Event Horizon Eye is active. All the data seem to be in line with the forecast. For now. Seen from above, the singularity point is perfectly visible at the center of the eye. From the control room, the team safely observed the progress of operations. Elise spoke up, her voice betraying a hint of wonder mixed with her usual rigor. Energy levels are rising within the predicted parameters. This was the moment they had envisioned in their boldest dreams. The realization of so many years' work. They watched the data being displayed, each second bringing new information about this extraordinary phenomenon they had created. After a long moment of observation, Elise reacted, her voice cutting through the murmur of concentration. She pointed to the graph where a series of data showed an unusual trend in red and said, "Wait, look at this. These readings. They don't match our models." Aubrey moved closer, his eyes crinkling as he examined the data. "It's intriguing," he murmured. "Is it an error in our instruments, or are we observing something totally new?" Marco joined them, observing the figures with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "I'll check the systems to rule out any technical failures." Elise nodded. "I'll dive into the data. Maybe we're on the verge of answering questions we haven't even asked yet." After several days of in-depth study, the team reconvenes. Elise begins the meeting with a mixture of surprise and wonder on her face. It's incredible, the anomaly. It could indicate a disturbance in space-time, as if the simulator had created a tiny but stable bridge to somewhere else. Aubrey replied, her eyes quickly scanning the complex data. "A bridge? You mean like a passageway to another point in the universe, or maybe—" "Another moment," finished Elise. "Yes, it's a possibility. The data suggests a rift, a kind of tunnel through the very structure of space-time." Marco interjected, his pragmatism tempering the excitement. "It's an extraordinary discovery, but we have to be careful. We don't know what this bridge might entail." Aubrey nodded, his mind already weighing the risks and opportunities. "You're right, Marco. We need to study this further. If we're on the verge of discovering a way to cross space-time, then the implications could change our understanding of the world. Let's get ready to explore this rift." "If it really is a passage of some kind, where does it lead?" one of the scientists asked, his eyes shining at the prospect of an unprecedented discovery. Elise, still concentrating on the screen, replied, "It's hard to say for sure. The data suggests that it's not simply a point in space, but perhaps a path to another moment in time." Aubrey, while sharing Elise's enthusiasm, maintained a cautious perspective. "This is uncharted territory," he emphasized. "Time travel theories involve many paradoxes and potential dangers. If we have opened such a door, we must first understand its mechanisms before even thinking of using it." A young physicist intervened, driven by curiosity. "What about the implications for causality? If we can interact with another moment, it could call into question everything we know about the cause-effect sequence in the universe." The entire Event Horizon team works for weeks on end to analyze the countless data collected. Aubrey took the floor to summarize the key points. "It's clear that despite our advances, we're coming up against fundamental limitations. The unstable and unpredictable properties of the passage prevent us from sending out measuring equipment or probes without losing them permanently." An expert in spatial dynamics added, "The models we've built indicate that the passage is not just a spatial anomaly, but has fluctuating temporal characteristics. This further complicates, if not prohibits, any attempt at remote measurement or exploration. Physical laws as we know them don't seem to apply consistently on the other side." The discussion then turned to the implications of this finding. "It means we're at a critical point," Aubrey concluded. "If we really want to understand what we've discovered, we need to consider methods of exploration that go beyond our usual scientific practices." He added, his expression reflecting a carefully considered decision. "I have a proposal to make, which is out of the ordinary, but which I believe is necessary given the exceptional circumstances we face." The whole team's attention was riveted on Aubrey. He continued, "Given the limitations we've identified for remote exploration, I think we should consider sending a human volunteer through the passage, and I volunteer as project manager." A murmur ran through the room, some expressing surprise, others apprehension. Aubrey calmed them with a wave of his hand. "I'm aware of the extreme risks and uncertainties involved in such a mission. However, this may be our only opportunity to really understand this phenomenon." Elise intervened, her voice tinged with concern. "Aubrey, do you understand what this means? This is a potentially one-way trip. We can't predict what will happen on the other side." Aubrey replied with a mixture of determination and serenity. "I'm aware of the risks, but I firmly believe that this is a necessary step. If we really want to understand the passage, we have to be prepared to make sacrifices." After a moment of respectful silence, the team accepted Aubrey's decision. They recognized that this mission required exceptional courage and a deep commitment to science and discovery. The first step was to design specific equipment for Aubrey. The engineering team, along with space survival experts, worked hard to develop a suit suited to the unknown conditions of the passage. It had to be able to withstand extreme fluctuations in temperature, pressure, and other unpredictable environmental factors. At the same time, a specialized group concentrated on communication systems. Although the chances of maintaining a stable link with Aubrey once on the other side were slim, they developed innovative methods to maximize data transmission possibilities. Aubrey underwent intensive training to prepare for the mission. This included not only physical preparation, but also a significant psychological component, led by experts in space psychology. Aubrey spent hours in simulations, preparing himself for the different situations he might encounter. In the hours leading up to his historic departure, Aubrey was in a state of deep introspection, mixing enthusiasm, apprehension, and a keen sense of responsibility. In Aubrey's heart burned a flame of enthusiasm, fueled by a life devoted to science and discovery. He felt a palpable excitement at the prospect of crossing an unknown frontier, of exploring territory that no one before him had approached. The prospect of contributing to a quantum leap for human science illuminated his mind with a bright light, momentarily dispelling the shadows of doubt. However, beneath this surface of excitement, there was a sea of apprehension. Aubrey could not ignore the colossal risks and many unknowns of his mission. Evenings spent reviewing protocols and emergency scenarios had left an indelible imprint on his mind. He was fully aware that this trip could be a one-way trip, and the thought weighed heavily on his heart. With the resolve of a man who has accepted his destiny, Aubrey had mentally prepared himself for every possibility. He had made his peace with the idea that his journey was bigger than himself, a quest for knowledge, for humanity. This resignation was not a sign of weakness, but a stoic acceptance of the gravity of his mission. In the silent corridors of Event Horizon, Elise was absorbed in a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. She was confronted with a mixture of professionalism and personal feelings, particularly intense as Aubrey's departure approached. A deep concern tinged Elise's every thought. She admired Aubrey not only as a mentor and leader, but there was also something more, something unspoken, that had woven itself through long hours of work and shared challenges. This admiration had evolved, becoming deeper, more personal, tinged with affection and respect. In front of the other team members, Elise maintained a facade of strength and confidence, skillfully masking the vulnerability she felt. But in private, the barriers fell, giving way to a more intimate and emotional reflection. There were feelings inside her that she had never fully expressed, words that had remained suspended in the silence of her heart. She watched Aubrey with an admiration mingled with a discreet tenderness, an affection she'd never dared reveal, but which shone softly in her eyes when she looked at him. She was torn between her desire to support Aubrey on this perilous mission and her secret wish to dissuade him from taking such a risk. Every discussion of the preparations was tinged with this duality, every word carefully weighed to conceal the underlying turmoil.